Jules.
Before we begin, I'd like to acknowledge that we are on the land of the Gadigal of the Eora Nation, and I'd like to pay my respects to their elders past and present. This always was and always will be Aboriginal land, a land on which we get to tell stories of import to both this land and other lands. So we're very grateful for this opportunity to be here right now. Hello.
Hello.
Hi. How are you?
I'm well. Thank you for
That's
inviting
good.
me. I was very touched and humbled and shocked to be your crush.
Thank you for saying yes. So for context, everybody, hello. Currency Press approached me and said, "Hey, would you like to chat with any of your Playwright Crushes today on the second day of the Currency Festival?" And I was reflecting on the 10 years that I've been in the sector now, and a name came up that over and over again, and it was Michelle's. When I was reflecting on some of the touch points in my 10 years that have been either revelatory or revolutionary in the way that I see the sector, in the way that I see Australian playwriting, in the way that I see my own work. So I'm just really grateful to get to share this space with you today and
That's
to share the
sweet.
same sector with you. So
Oh,
thank you,
no.
Michelle Law.
Thank you for inviting me. I mean, I guess I'd never thought about myself in that way. I mean, it's classic Australian tall poppy syndrome, isn't it?
Yes, yes.
And I have had other, I guess, Asian Australian playwrights and people in the theatre sector express similar things to me.
yeah.
And it feels so strange to me because I guess I have those people in my life.
Yes, of course.
And
yeah.
see those people, I think of like Annette Chenoir,
Yes.
I think of like Tessa Leong,
Yes.
people, and Darren Yap, who,
Yeah.
who have been doing it for so much longer than us.
Yeah.
And they were the people that I really looked up to and was like, oh my God, you've been carving a pathway for yourself and other people like us, and just feeling really grateful and feeling a lot of admiration towards them. So it's very humbling to hear that, like the younger people than me. I'm like, oh my God.
I think I'm older than you.
No!
I think I am. But you are part of a line. You're part of a chain, and you're now somebody that lots of people look up to, including students of the HSC.
Yes.
Yes.
That's been a wild
'Cause
development.
you've
And this,
Single Asian female is now on the syllabus. How
yeah,
exciting.
I'm not quite sure how the HSC syllabus in New South Wales works, but as far as I know, I think single Asian female is on the syllabus for the years 2025 to 2027. I didn't realize there was kind of like a
Like a changeover.
changeover at some point. But it's been really special, and just hearing from younger students in high school who are able to examine the text and use it for assessment purposes, which I would have never dreamt of being able to do that with any other text. I mean, growing up, I think the only Asian representation I saw in theatre was Miss Saigon,
Yes.
which was like super problematic.
Oh, in many, many ways.
I mean, like absolute bangers,
yeah. Total
but
bangers.
super problematic.
Yeah.
And that was kind of my only reference point. Yeah, because I remember reading an interview with you where you also mentioned Miss Saigon.
Oh, I wonder what that was.
Oh.
Yeah, Miss Saigon is like, it features in my life as a Filipino-Australian playwright quite a lot, because there is a giant industry of, in the Philippines, of training people to be part of touring productions of Miss Saigon. So quite a big part of the musical theatre sector in the Philippines relies on this problematic musical to just keep going and going and going. That's by the by, but I guess to bring it back to your work, when I saw Single Asian Female for the first time, I bought a ticket for myself and I sat in the front row, and it just unlocked so many things that I hadn't even considered before, because I was pretty similar in that I'd seen Miss Saigon when I was 5. I thought this was the pinnacle and the apex for our sort of broader communities. And I sat there in the front row, and I thought, okay, heartbreak and joy can happen in the same breath. Music can happen in a way that isn't just bangers and gratuitousness. It can exist in a great Australian play. And Asian casts of women and Asian women creatives could tell their stories in a what seemed to be like an unfettered way, and I never I just stood up. I just stood up so quickly at the end of that show and just like joined in with the singing. It was beautiful. In your imagination, if Miss Saigon was the one reference point that you had, it seems like a big creative leap to offer single Asian female.
Yes.
And I'm just thinking, like, what were the things in between your writing, your
Yes.
communities? What were the things that sort of?
Yeah, I mean, that's a really good question because I studied creative writing at university.
Yes.
And all of my tutors and lecturers were white people. And so, all of the texts that I was studying, and I did a mix of, 19th century lit, 20th century lit.
Yeah.
I did a theatre elective and journalism as well. And all of the reference materials pretty much were, the great Western canon. Yeah. And so that was a world in which I was really familiar. And I came out of uni thinking, I've got to write these lofty novels and be the next Helen Garner or the next Tim Winton. And I think I was good at replicating that style, but it didn't bring me any kind of creative or personal joy or excitement. I think I was intellectually stimulated by it, but it just was quite empty, an empty exercise for me.
In like mimicry almost.
Mimicry, but also, I didn't feel like it was giving me much
Okay.
in terms of being an artist. It was very much, I think, just felt like a bit of a wank fest.
Yeah, okay. I feel you. Yeah.
Like in a lot of ways that those things are.
Yeah.
And at the same time, who are you writing those works for? Yeah. It's going to be like the handful, well, not handful, I mean, there are thousands of Australian readers of literature, but the ones who are very used to a particular kind of voice.
Yes.
And it wasn't until that I kind of had like this existential personal creative crisis that lasted, I think, the first year after graduating, where I was enrolled in honours, but at the same time working at a bookshop. And I was kind of like, do I want to go back into academia? Do I want to go and just like do a PhD? And I thought that was the pathway for me. And then I just thought I would keep a blog to just make sure that I was writing every day.
Yeah.
Just as an exercise, and it was called Single Asian Female.
Amazing.
And it was just this Tumblr. I think I only wrote about 4 or 5 posts in it.
Okay, yeah.
And it was just about my experiences of dating as a single Asian woman in my early 20s after coming out of a bad breakup.
Yes.
And then when it all comes back to, as we were talking about crushes. Yeah. It all comes back to the fact that I got to apply for this workshop that CARP was running at the time. So Contemporary Asian Australian Performance used to be called Performance 4A.
Ah, yeah.
So this was back in the day, and this was Annette's first ever workshop for the Lotus program, and it was for playwrights, but she also acknowledged, there obviously aren't any, if many, Asian Australian playwrights in Australia, and so she was just opening it up to anyone who was a writer or enjoyed writing or identified as a writer. And so myself, Merlin Tong, Katrina Graham, Not Fan, like we were alumni of that group in Brisbane.
The OG.
Yeah, we're the OGs, and we're all still close.
Yeah, I love that.
And we all kind of are cheering each other on when we each have a new work. And so we all met there, and there were kind of a handful of us, and we were that core group of we developed our first plays in that. And part of it was Stephen Carlton was one of our mentors, and he was like, what's something that you want to draw on or a story that you want to tell? And I kind of thought of this blog that I'd been keeping and the fact that I hadn't seen a young Asian person on stage before, let alone a woman, telling her story on her own terms.
And in her own voice.
Yeah, and in her own voice. And I think voice was a really huge breakthrough for me, because when I was going through that year of like, what am I as a writer? I remember reading a friend's blog. A friend, she's an author, her name's Lorelei Vashti, and she had this blog that was called something like The Confessions of a Woman in like in a World Gone Mad or something.
Right.
And it was just her everyday life.
Yeah, cool.
And she had such, I was like, I think I was in a really deep depression at the time.
Yeah.
And I was reading her blog and it was so funny. And I felt it was the first time I'd laughed in like 6 months.
Wow.
And I remember thinking, oh my God, this is so huge. Like, this is taking me somewhere that nothing has been able to lift me out of. And I just felt such lightness and as if, oh my God, okay, so she's writing something that's funny, but I find really important and moving and vital to me. And so that really inspired me to hone my own voice and embrace the fact that I just naturally wanted to write comedy.
Yeah.
Or
Okay.
naturally wanted to write shows that, you know, shows that are funny but also are heartbreaking and encompass the kind of whole human experience, as opposed to being confined to I have to be you know, Helen Garner 2.0.
I'm really glad that journey landed you where it did.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry to hear you were in a deep depression, but I'm very.
Who amongst us?
I know, yeah.
Yeah.
I do this like as a recognition, and
Yeah.
also as like it's such a big part of playwrights' journeys as when
Yeah,
people talk
but
about
I
things,
guess that was kind of the arc or the journey of in between, you know,
Yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
uni period,
Yes,
and
yeah.
also just like a real period of self-education, because I came out of uni only having read these white male authors. And then I really had to self-educate myself on First Nations voices, on
Yes,
queer
yeah,
voices, on POC voices, and actually like sit down and do the work, because I just didn't get that. And it was a lot of discovery of new people and new voices, and it was really pivotal, I think.
Well, thank you for sharing. It's great. I'm all going to go away and do
It's
this.
nice to reflect.
Yes,
Because
well,
I don't.
Oh, okay, great. So we can use this as a reflection
great.
point. So in that sort of space that you were talking about in the writing of the Tumblr, and then in the crafting of a play, tell me about the feelings that you were having then compared to how you're feeling about that piece of work in particular now. Like the change of the relationship.
That's a really good question, because we had a reading of it recently at La Boîte Theatre Company.
Courtney's here.
I think Courtney could be in the audience, or she's probably chuffed off home, which is fair enough.
Fair enough.
But it was La Boîte Theatre Company's 100th birthday this year.
Yeah.
And so as part of that, in their season, they had a series of encore readings of plays throughout La Boîte's 100-year history. And Single Asian Female was the last one in that series. So this was, I think, maybe last month or the month before I went back to Brisbane and watched it. And I think it really struck me that it really captured who I was at the time when I wrote it, and captured a certain mentality. And I was just kind of listening to parts of the dialogue, and I'm like, oh, I really wouldn't phrase that in this way now.
From a voice perspective, from a craft perspective, but also just from like I was a different person then.
I was a different person, and I think that's really nice as a marker of time to look back at your work and think, oh, you know, I was, 10 years younger then, and I was in a really different place in terms of life and how I viewed the world.
Sure.
I mean, a lot of the things were very much like unchanged, and they're kind of, evergreen truths about myself and how I see the world and people and culture. But it was a really interesting exercise in feeling as if I could see how I wanted to capture everything I wanted to say about the Asian Australian female experience, because I thought it would be the only play I would ever get to write.
Aha, interesting.
And so I threw everything in it.
Wow.
And emotionally speaking.
Yeah.
Because I just knew that I wouldn't get another chance.
I mean, it's such a strange thing to think, given that we've now seen multiple works of yours just like go from strength to strength.
But that's just how we're conditioned,
100%,
right?
yeah.
I mean, I'm sure you felt similarly at times where you're this is my one shot in the industry. I better go hard.
100%.
And then you get another opportunity and it's like,
Oh no, what do I do now?
No, but you do have other ideas, but you kind of just, and this has been such an interesting experience working with other artists of Asian background, all different types of creatives. When they're collaborating on my work, I see that real panic of just,
is this it?
is this it? But also, we need to make it perfect.
Yes,
And we need to say
totally.
everything because we will never get another chance.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, I understand that mentality because I had it.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like, this doesn't have to encapsulate everything about what it means to be, you know, of this particular ethnicity, or like ethnic background. And I think that's why there's a lot of um, like self. It's just so much torture that goes on, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry to take it to a dark place, but
No, it's fine. This is what happens, I think, when I'm just like, tell me, reflect.
tell me more. Yeah,
A lot of torture.
self-torture and torture of each other because
yes.
it's like we need to get it right.
Yes, yeah.
Because if we mess up, then we'd get fewer chances.
Yes. And if we mess up, we've got like communities of people relying on us to do X, Y, and Z.
Totally. And it's like, this is just one story out of like billions, you know? Just
Yeah.
let's just take it one story at a time.
Yes, 100%. And also, single Asian female, at least in my view and in my life, it was an opening. We may not look back on it and say it encapsulates everything, but it allowed everything. It allows more and more things to be said, more and more stories to be told. That's how I see it, anyways.
Yeah, which is really lovely, and it really means a lot for me that it was more of like a channel for other people to travel through and other voices to be heard, because I would have loved to have had that when I was younger.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. That is a potent thought in writing.
Yeah.
Do you often write for your younger self?
I think I did in the beginning.
Okay.
I think now I kind of write. I think it's good to keep that in the back of my mind, but I think also now I'm kind of writing to what's concerning me at the time of writing.
Yeah.
And that really drives me. I think in the beginning of my career, I really wrote from a place of deep anger.
Yes.
And that was really fueling me in a good way,
It's
because
powerful,
I think it was a really productive way of channeling anger.
Yeah.
And I think anger gets a bad rap because a lot of people don't know how to express it in a healthy way or aren't able to, you know, express it in a creative way that isn't, you know, really personal.
Sure, yes. Yeah.
And so now that I have less of that anger somewhat, I'm trying to kind of recalibrate and figure out, what am I writing for now?
What are you writing for now?
I think it changes project to
Yeah,
project depending on what the story's about.
Yeah.
And I think now that I'm in a really different life stage, I think that's changing again.
Sure, yes.
Yeah, because I just had a baby.
Congratulations.
Thank you. So he's 6 months old today, exactly. Thank you. And just, I guess now what's concerning me is, and I read this really great piece. There was an interview with Sarah Giles. And she was kind of reflecting on motherhood and still working as a director and being an artist.
Yeah.
And for me, that really struck a chord, because I just see how as a freelance artist, your life kind of just breaks apart, you know, because you don't have maternity leave.
Yes. Yeah.
And if you don't, you know, maybe you're a single parent or you have a partner who can't be particularly supportive for whatever reason. In that way, your practice just kind of can suffer in a big way. And so you really have to prioritize and rejig your life to still serve your practice, but also nurture this tiny person, and trying to look at parenthood in a way that lends itself or nurtures your creative side as well. And I think I've been lucky in the sense that I have my sister as a role model, because she's a photojournalist. And she's got a 5-year-old, and just seeing how she kind of balanced her practice as well. And I was like, oh, why did you decide to have just one child? And she's like, well, I still wanted to practice. So that's something that I've been thinking about a lot as well.
Yeah, I think it's really beautiful that you're moving into like a new stage of life and are able to nurture your practice for a new, even like new audience almost.
Yeah.
Or a changing audience.
Yeah, I hope so. And I was talking to Courtney Stewart, who was on a panel earlier this morning, because we've been collaborating forever,
Yeah,
like since
yeah.
Single Asian Female in so many different iterations.
Yeah, yeah,
Like we were writer and actor, and then actor and actor, and then
Yeah,
actor and director.
yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And so she was saying, you know, I see your work as really encapsulating where you are at that point in your life and a socio-political commentary on like what you're going through at that stage. And so maybe something will come out of this,
Yeah.
hopefully. And I really want to model the fact that he has a working mum because he's a little boy,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and you know, instill in him the idea that women work and
Yeah.
you know they have an identity outside of being mum.
Yes, it's really important. Yeah, I feel it is. You call your mum by her first name? Is that no?
No.
Okay, sorry. Where did I get that from? Sorry, cut that from.
Hopefully they're not watching.
Okay, so sorry. Okay. It's just lovely to hear you speak about motherhood. And I think we do need to hear about motherhood more in the arts. It's just...
Yeah. I mean, I think it's something that goes, I think it doesn't really get covered much as a parent in the arts, especially one who carried a child and then is like primary carer of the child. It's really tricky. I remember even just chatting to a friend who was an actor who was like trying to breastfeed at work during rehearsals, and there was just like a curtain that she could go behind. There wasn't like a private space that she could sit in. And I don't think people realize like how disruptive it can be. And I think things are getting slightly better.
Yeah, I've noticed things also get better too inside rooms and things like that. Like, and we do have mothers to thank for it.
Yeah.
We do have people who do hold that torch.
Yeah.
In their as mothers in their homes, in their family lives, in their communities, but also in the industry. We do owe mothers that revolution too.
The way my sister explained it to me when she became a mum was like, especially in the arts as well, is that you kind of join like this secret club of other parents who are like, oh, I get it, like how can I help? Or, you know, it's really lovely.
Oh, nice. I'm happy, pleased.
Oh, thank
that
you.
It is lovely. Because I'm sure there are times when it's not so lovely.
Oh, yeah. Just, you know, it's 4 a.m. and it's still dark and you're just staring into the abyss waiting for the sun to rise.
Oh, my goodness.
And your child is just sitting at you in the dark smiling.
Oh.
Well, it's lucky that he's smiling.
Yes, exactly.
But he's just like, I want to play. And I'm like, oh, man.
You have no concept of battery right now. But okay.
Yeah.
I wanted to talk about another touch point in my brain. When it comes to your work, and that was seeing Miss Peony at the Art Centre Melbourne. And I know that it was a very long journey, and long because of COVID and because of lots of moving pieces. It's a massive show. And me and my partner went to see it at the ACM, and we'd never seen an audience like it. It was
in what sense?
It was a majority sort of a young and older, but like a Asian Australian crowd. At a major performing arts venue. Many of whom I would just walk past in the hallways and in the foyer would say that they'd not seen a show before. Or not, and if they had not seen a show like this before, they hadn't seen. Hadn't
been to theatre before.
Or hadn't seen a show that melded things like this before, or that was for them. And it was, and they were so wrapped by the idea of having a beauty pageant on stage, and wrapped by like the funny moments, and how did they do that? How did they get that hot pot table on? Like, it was all sorts of just it was a wonder that I as a person who's been in the sector for a while I'm just slightly jaded and would be like, I know how they do that, it's fine. But there's something that was
theatre, magic, whatever.
Magic, I suppose. But it reawakened something for me
Yeah.
about who it is that we're writing stories for.
Yeah.
And I think your work, more than others' works, sort of demands that there are new audiences that come into the theatre.
Yeah.
A lot of writers that I'm working with are very happy and accepting that there is a certain audience in the theatre and will work in really innovative and wonderful ways in order to reach that audience or to reroute their expectations. But your work differently kind of demands that different people be here, which is kind of wonderful. I want to
really
ask
like that.
I want to ask
I
about
remember, I think it was for me and my director of Single Asian Female, I think it was like one of those brain clicky moments where we kind of looked around the audience and there were young people commentating to each other while the show was on, like they were watching, like it was Gogglebox.
like Gogglebox.
They were watching it and they were like, oh my God, like that's exactly what Mum said. Or,
Yes,
you know,
yeah,
they were
yeah,
just
yeah,
sobbing
yeah.
together and like handing each other tissues. And I just loved how free
Yes.
it was and how they felt so uninhibited because they didn't know how to act in a theatre.
Yeah.
Which I loved because it was for them and they were bringing a whole new energy. And I think that was why when different artistic directors came to see it and then it went on tour afterwards, I think it was a brain clicky moment for them because they were like, oh, okay, we can bring all these new people in and they're really passionate about it and they're bringing new people who have never been to the audience. Cha-ching, cha-ching.
Yeah.
Well, for me, it was more a personal thing to see people really connecting to it in a way that meant that they could just be completely authentic to themselves and their family members who they decided to bring along. And I wanted to see more of that.
Yeah, great.
And I also, when it came to Miss Peony, which was actually my second play, I mean, it took like 5 or 6 years to be staged because of so many different like lockdowns and things like that. It was because I brought my grandmother to see Single Asian Female, and she watched it in the back and she was like, oh, this is so amazing that, you know, these people have really enjoyed it, but I didn't understand any of it because she didn't speak English. And so that just destroyed me. It was just it just broke my heart. And so that's why I really wanted my plays after that to be multilingual and to be spoken in different languages so that everyone could come, well, you know, everyone who could speak those languages would come and not feel excluded because theatres can be such exclusionary spaces, not just culturally, but financially. And, you know, those people often aren't coming to see plays because they're working to support their kids to go through school or, you know, they work 7 days at a restaurant, you know, they don't have time to do something as silly as go to the theatre, you know? And so I wanted to make it, if they were going to see one show in their lives, to make it worth it and make it something that they could relate to and connect with. And that's what theatre's supposed to be. Like, theatre's supposed to be for the people. And it's just become this thing that's like, oh my God, sorry, one more play about a middle-class white couple going through a divorce. I'm going to like hurl myself into a wall, you know? You know, I'd seen that play 10 times when I was growing up and I know that story. And this is just to, you know, then speak to the fact that I feel like people from marginalised backgrounds can write those voices because we've grown up with them, we've embodied them. And that's why that conversation doesn't work both ways.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah.
In that philosophy that what theatre should be, which I agree with, do you find yourself having to advocate for that philosophy?
To an extent. I think it can be tricky when you're working with the company and they don't have access to that audience.
Yes.
And it's not that they're not willing to do the work to access that audience, it's that they're so used to doing things in a very particular way that to then break out of that mindset is completely discombobulating. And also it feels scary because they've might have been in those roles for a very long time, and then suddenly to introduce a new way of audience outreach is just like, I have to rejig my entire way of thinking.
Yes.
And I don't have those connections to those communities, but and it's extra labor on the playwright or the directors or the creatives parts. But if we're willing to offer you that assistance, then you should really take it on and try to embrace it. Yeah.
Okay. And do you see that getting better at all?
I think it will get better when companies start hiring diversely.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't mean diverse as a code word for ethnic, which it's not, because that's not what it means.
Yeah.
It means, actually having a diverse set of voices in the room, which is tricky because it's such a relationships-based industry. And a lot of people from backgrounds like ours aren't in this industry traditionally, because, for a multitude of reasons.
Yeah.
And, they try their best and they work really hard to, try to reach out to those people and try to diversify their staff and, potentially their boardrooms as well. But the tricky thing is that they kind of expect those voices to already exist.
Yeah.
Whereas, you kind of need, organizations like CARP to put the training in and put the time into developing, people like us who wouldn't have had that opportunity otherwise.
Totally,
like the reason that, Single Asian Female and Miss Peony exist is because someone invested in me.
Yeah.
And you need to do that investment to get the output.
Yeah. Yes, that makes a whole lot of sense to me. And also, I guess, like, to add on to that, just in terms of like hiring diversely, I think this is a Tanya Kanyas quote from like 10 years ago. Just because somebody is in a space doesn't mean that they had the autonomy by which that space was created.
Yeah.
And so we can invest in diverse hiring as much as we can, but if the practices inside the space don't change along with it, if you're expecting people to fall into a line, for example, then what are we actually doing here?
Totally.
Are we painting?
We're painting. It's very surface level, or hiring really tokenistically and kind of expecting that or those couple of people are just going to solve everything. Like it's a whole mindset and it's a whole system that kind of needs to be rejigged, as opposed to just like, here's our marketing material. We're going to splash this person's face on it because we hired them 6 months ago.
Oh, goodness. I guess these are questions that we've been talking about for a fairly long time. And
I think so. I mean, I think it's a slow process and, it's going to take a lot of years, decades for it to change. I think it's really, we've made a lot of headway in like the last decade.
Yeah.
But I'm hoping we can only keep going up and up and up.
I hope so too.
Yeah.
This kind of leads me to another one of my little touch points. I don't know if you remember, but you ran a workshop for Afters Talent Camp.
Oh my God, yes.
And I was in that cohort. And it was such a like light bulb moment for me.
Oh, what did I say?
Oh, a bunch of things. And a bunch of things. But like, it was the first time that that I'd seen somebody in the industry who understands their politicization within the industry, openly talking about that politicization to a group of other politicized bodies. There were lots of things.
Okay.
There was lots of things about community, lots of things about accountability, lots of things about staying healthy, those kinds of things. I'm wondering, even if my question was, has your advice to more emerging playwrights or screenwriters, writers changed over the last, say, 5-10 years?
I can't exactly remember what I said to your cohort.
No, exactly. But do you imagine that they...
But I think we're at a really interesting, time in the arts, in that a lot has happened. COVID being one of them, and the lack of funding being a really tricky thing to contend with. And I kind of feel like we're in a space now where companies are quite nervous
Yes.
Yeah, nervous because there is just no funding.
Sure.
And there's no certainty, and subscribers aren't buying they're not buying season passes, they're kind of buying tickets. They're deciding to see shows like 2 nights before because they're kind of wondering, oh, what if the show gets cancelled because of cast illness, or I don't want to take this risk. And so there's a lot of, I think, programming that's become quite conservative, which is totally understandable because that's the world in which we're living in now. But I think it's sad because it's an environment that's become very quiet, and it's become a lot more toned down. And I think everyone's in a space where we're all trying to survive and trying to still tell these stories and keep that fire alive. So I guess my advice to emerging screenwriters and emerging playwrights now is really just to keep going with the project or projects plural that give you joy and you see sustaining you for years, because I mean projects take years to develop. Because often when you're pitching something to like a production company or a theatre, you're kind of thinking, oh, what's on trend, or what's maybe it's thrillers that are really in at the moment and that's going to get picked up, or true crime procedurals, that kind of thing. And the thing is, like, trends shift really quickly. That might be in now, but in 2 years you're still going to be working on this thriller that you thought was going to get picked up. And so it's very much, if you're going to want to spend time with something that you feel passionate about and that you feel really needs to be told, regardless of what time and year it is.
Yes.
Yeah.
Perennial and hardcore. Hardcore? Is that a new word? Okay.
I like it.
Yeah, okay. Nice. I like that. Yeah, because you're right. Like, we're in a pretty fickle time in the industry.
Yeah, it's really tricky. I mean, so many artists I know who are really established have pivoted out of the industry for whatever reason. A lot of them have gone into like psychology.
Oh yes,
which makes sense because it's humanity and human connection, feelings. Some people have just gone into different roles, and maybe it's that they're leaving a foot in and maybe going to try and come back, or some people have just kind of done.
Yeah, and much respect to them, actually.
Much respect and God bless.
Yes, absolutely.
Good luck.
Chukkers.
Yeah, chukkers.
And chukkers to the people who stay. Like,
honestly. Yeah.
I wonder what your like professional life pie looks like, because you mentioned pitching to networks and things. You're a screenwriter. You write for journals, the news.
Used to.
Okay. And stage publications, novel. What does the life pie look like? Education?
Yeah.
Teaching and things? Yeah. If you were to,
Right now?
Yeah. Pie chart?
Pie chart. I think right now it's probably more heavily theatre and teaching a bit.
Yeah, great.
I still am working in writers' rooms for screen, but there's also a feature that I've been trying to finish for a couple of years that I took a break from because it was about postpartum.
Oh, okay.
And so I was like, this is too close and I just need a bit of space away from it. And so it's still like I kind of took a big step away from the literary work maybe 10 or so years ago. Okay, so it's very much kind of theatre and film and TV. The juggle is kind of between those two. Okay. Yeah.
Nice. Thank you. That's very helpful in terms of like because we all have to be doing lots of different things all
that's
the time.
the thing. I think it's just being adaptive.
Yeah.
I'm really enjoying teaching at the moment.
Yeah, tell me about teaching.
I love working with students.
Yeah.
Especially because they are really engaged and they really do want to be there because it's their passion. And because I'm working with performance arts unis now, before that I was kind of just working at, just general unis,
yeah,
and
yeah.
students would be there in a writing class and just be totally uninterested. And I'm like, why?
No.
Or I'd ask them, what do you like reading? And they'd be like, oh, I don't really read.
Oh,
I'm like, well,
cool.
why are you here? And so it was really bizarre. I'm like, is it because
Yeah,
your
yeah.
parents are paying for this?
Oh.
So now that I'm like
Parents,
teaching,
you pay for a creative
yeah,
writing course?
I
Wonderful.
know.
No, sorry.
Yeah, so now I'm at a performing arts uni.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, oh, you really do want to be here, and they're so
Great.
invested, and they really want to. There's so much self-directed learning, which is
Yeah,
awesome,
great.
and getting to read their assessments and what is driving them creatively is
Yeah,
very
cool.
cool. So I always, love the teaching side of things.
Nice.
The marking is always hard, but
Uh-huh.
especially because it's writing, so you have to read so much. I'm a really slow reader.
Yes, yeah, me too.
Yeah, so
And is it weird trying to like mark according to rubric? Is that
a little
strange?
bit, yeah. I think it helps when you have like peer
Yes,
peer review
Yeah,
marking where
yeah,
you can kind of be like, is that a distinction or is it a credit? Yeah.
Wow, the fate is in your hands.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah,
In multiple people's hands. That's good.
that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Nice. Yeah, I've recently also started really, really appreciating the time that I get to work with even more emerging writers than myself.
Yeah.
And I'm really enjoying, I guess, hearing how the voice of today is, the younger voices of today is, some of the things are really similar to the
Yeah.
preoccupations that we had, but some of the things are really very different. And
Yeah.
one of the things that I've noticed, we're at the ATYP, and I've been really blessed to be able to mentor some ATYP writers. And
What's the age group that you're teaching?
well, I was on the national studio, so that was 18 to 26, and then here and there other cohorts of writers.
Yeah.
But for this particular 18 to 26 age group, there were a number of Asian Australian writers who, and a number of writers from marginalised backgrounds, and unlike in my cohorts at that time when I was a young writer, they didn't necessarily feel the need to write anything into their ethnicity or their cultural background, which I found like the smallest shock to the system.
Yeah.
Because there was a part of me that was like, oh, I really needed to, I really felt like I needed to speak
Yeah.
on certain things, whereas these writers now in their sort of like early 20s are free to write about science, about climate change, about the dynamics between friends of non-specific background and all sorts of things that I just never let myself when I was in my sort of like earlier playwriting days.
What are their characters' cultural backgrounds when they're writing from their character's POV?
For this particular cohort, some of them were like themselves, and some of them it was entirely non-specific.
Yeah.
Which I back when I was in my 20s, I was like, it's so important industrially for us to specify who it is that we'd like to cast.
Yeah, right.
It was an industrial movement, I guess. It was like, I would like to specify that this actor is Asian Australian, this actor is Filipino Australian, this actor shares certain intersectional identities that I do. From an industrial perspective, I would like for this to happen, please.
Yeah.
And we were encouraged by like Playwriting Australia to write that in our like in our character sheets, because it was an industrial
interesting.
importance.
Yeah.
But these days, no.
Right.
Which is so interesting to me. And I wonder if you're seeing things as a teacher yourself about how young writers are shaping themselves according to that.
Yeah, I think that's similar to what you're noticing. And I think it's really exciting.
Yeah.
But I think at the same time, because I've kind of interrogated this in my own practice as well,
Okay, yes.
because I guess audiences or the industry kind of sees my work positioned as like, I think it was Susie Wrong calling me in a funny, sweet way.
Yeah.
It was like a race. I forget what term she used, but it was like in terms of like the work that I do, it was like, you know, very race based.
Okay.
And I guess in my head that's true, but I also say for example like Miss Peony, you know, yes, that was a show about Chineseness and culture, but in my head it was also a show just about grief.
Totally. Yeah.
And for me, in my head, I'm writing these universal stories, but they just happen to be told from this person's perspective.
Totally, yeah.
And for me, I guess it's important because your culture, regardless of what it is, informs the way that you perceive everything. And it doesn't have to be like, you know, red and gold, I'm Chinese. You know, it's very much like, you know, this character's in this beauty pageant, and it was one that her grandmother really loved.
Yeah.
And it just happened to be that it was associated with her culture.
Yeah.
Or, you know, say for example, Zoe in single Asian female is, you know, at home, and she's this young person dealing with a career versus a family, but at the same time, and that's informed by her own upbringing as a Chinese, like a second generation migrant. Like for me, it's like you can't say that a play is necessarily like a race play or like a play about race, because it's also just a person who is of that race.
Yes, totally.
Yeah,
I definitely see that.
because I totally also like have a huge interest in like genre as well, and like and just writing about like I don't know, just like writing something supernatural or writing a murder story or something. And I would love to do that, but then the perspective is also of this character who comes from like a certain life experience, and for me it's hard to disentangle the two. Like if you're writing a character that's about the breakdown of his relationship with his sister, then that's going to be informed by, you know, is the sister older or younger than him? Like, what is the power dynamic within his family? Because he might come from this particular background where he can't call his sister by her first name because she's older than him.
Yes.
Like that sort of thing.
Yeah.
To me, it's really inextricably linked.
But it does make you an expert in specific artistic forms that other people might not be, because they're not paying enough attention.
Yeah.
And I'm going to say that, for example, the way that you, in both your stage and your screen work, consider language.
Yeah.
The way in which you consider language, and that story that you told about your grandmother, was it? Just informs the form. It informs the literal, like, how information is revealed.
Yes.
It informs the rhythm of a work. It informs how that work is then structured.
Yes.
It's like you've become now an expert in things that you have paid attention to, thank goodness.
Well, it's because also people are different people in different languages.
Totally, yeah.
And they think in totally different ways.
Yeah.
Like I'll ask my mum, because she's like trilingual.
Yeah.
Like when you're thinking, what language are you speaking in?
Yeah.
And then translating it to another one.
Yeah.
Or, you know, when I'm speaking Cantonese because it's not very good, I'm like a totally different person to who I am now. Because I don't have, you know, I've become quite childish and insecure because I don't know what I'm saying.
Yes.
You know?
Oh gosh. I did just watch your episode of Safe Home.
Oh, okay, that's pretty heavy.
It is very heavy, and it was a surprise for me knowing your voice in the theatre.
Oh.
But there was something really wonderful of like...
We should probably give some context.
Oh, sorry, yes, hi. Has anyone who's seen Safe Home on SBS? Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. There is something, without giving anything away, but there is a storyline that...
It's a show about family violence in Victoria specifically, because each state has obviously a different legal system when it comes to handling those cases. And so each episode kind of dealt with a different case, and then there was like an overarching case about family violence. But yeah, essentially that's what it was about.
And for me, it became very much about language as a locus of power.
Yeah.
And proximity to power through language. And so that to me was like it was an expertise that I recognized from your theatrical work, where there is an expertise with language formally and also in terms of how it can interrogate power today, which I think is really special. And so when Susie says like you're a race-based player,
it was very funny.
I'm so sure, I kind of want to like validate the part of that is which makes you an expert in specific things that you attend to, that perhaps other playwrights of similar backgrounds might not want to attend to just yet.
Yeah, I mean, I was just thinking about your previous question about the young students and how, what backgrounds their characters come from.
Yeah.
And it kind of got me thinking, like, because I have run playwriting workshops, like Writing New South Wales, just on voice and contemporary theatre. And a lot of the problems that the participants were having was creating characters and creating dialogue that differentiated the characters from each other, because they all sounded like the same person.
Totally. Yeah.
And for me, when you dig into a character's history and a character's background, that's how the voice pops. And if you aren't interrogating, you know, I guess in the way that I'm interested in how race and culture create people, then you kind of lose that and you kind of just get these flat voices. So you kind of have to lean into the specificity to get the universality. It's kind of ironic.
Yes. And that is a belief that I hold also. Whilst also holding some space for the young writers who are exploring things that that may not overtly come from a perspective of their own cultures or the construct of race.
Yeah, because if you're writing about, say, climate change, I mean, like every single person, depending on their life experience and background, is going to experience it in a totally different way.
Yeah. I agree. I very much agree. We have 10 minutes, and I realise we've been sitting in the dark in a room, and there is no, unlike other panel things, there's not necessarily like a question sort of on the sheet thing, but like, does anyone have any like provocations for us, like one or two
Provocations?
words? Yeah, curiosities. Curiosities. Is that all right?
Great. I love it.
Oh, hello. Yeah, we've got one. Hi.
Sorry, I'm blinded.
Oh, you're just
hello.
waving. Hello, hi. Oh, that's so lovely. Oh, it's so
Hi.
good to see everyone.
Yeah, it is nice.
Hi. We've just been speaking in the dark for this long, but it's really nice to see you.
Well, I had a question for you.
Go for it, yeah.
I mean, what are you consuming at the moment that's like inspiring you?
Oh gosh, inspiring. What am I consuming? What am I consuming at the moment that's inspiring me?
Or what is like at the forefront of your thoughts? In terms of, you know, things that you want to interrogate more about the world, or you know, something that is occupying your thoughts on a daily basis, besides the minutiae of everyday life.
I'm interested in not interested in. That's horrible. No. I do think about fascism, and I do think about genocide. I do think about larger geopolitical structures of power. How can we not?
Yeah.
And I do want to acknowledge everyone who is at a rally at Hyde Park right now that we are missing.
Yeah.
And the importance of that. And so I am thinking about those things. And the work that I'm making right now has to do with fascism, specifically. But in terms of consuming things and like I'm trying to learn as much as I can about geopolitics and history. Weirdly, and I'm not necessarily yet going into artistic representations of it.
Yeah. But that's part of it. It's, you know, the education,
yes,
the research. Well, it's like self-education.
And also just like being an activated citizen.
Yeah.
And also fine-tuning what it is I'm actually trying to fight for, both in my art and in my sector and in my smaller community.
Yeah, that's really nice.
And it, yeah, that's it's not.
That's a nice answer.
I think my artistic media consumption pot is filled quite a lot by the voices of writers that I'm working with,
Yeah.
or I might work with in future. So I'm a dramaturg. Hello, hi. And so I read a lot of plays that I'm either working on or that I might want to work on.
Yeah.
I watch a lot of theatre with a with a dramaturgical eye around what it could be in its next life, in its next concentric circle. So I'm one of those people who who fills my inspiration cup in and out of the theatre. So sometimes the theatre will fill my inspiration cup, and sometimes it's work, like meaningful work.
Yeah.
And the inspiration cup gets filled elsewhere. And then other times that reverses. So right now I'm in like okay, we're doing work, we're doing meaningful work.
Yeah.
Every show that I see is a meaningful transaction. And then the inspiration comes from what I'm observing outside the theatre in order to bring into the theatre. But then other times in my life, it's really been form, theatre. What is the spark?
Yeah.
What is the spark inside this like dark space?
Yeah.
2018, 2019 was definitely one of those times where Single Asian Female was in. I was like consuming theatre, main stage debuts, left, right, and centre. It was like it was an exciting time for me, and that was really fueling and really energizing.
Yeah.
And right now I'm in a sort of, okay, let's do some meaningful work and let's keep an eye on what's happening right now.
I think that's a good space to be in.
Hey, yeah.
Yeah.
I hope. Well, it's the space that we're in, I guess.
Yeah.
Can I ask you, what are you consuming at the minute?
I mean, it's kind of similar to you.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm kind of watching the world happen
Yeah.
and feeling quite helpless.
Yeah.
And I think I'm using this point in time to be a bit still.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
As much as you can with a 6-month-old.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
No, I mean, like stillness in that even.
Yeah, wow.
Like stillness even just stepping away from like doing active work and just like living.
Yeah.
Because
Yes.
that informs the work.
Yeah.
Because if you're a playwright who doesn't have a life,
Yeah, what are you writing about?
Or like, what are you writing about? Or I really want to get into a headspace where I just have time to read, because at the end of the day I just don't have any energy to do anything. Even interrogate something intellectually, because I just don't have the bandwidth.
Yeah.
And I think because I was talking to Courtney and Amy before about the feminist panel and how the first subject that came up was just burnout.
Oh, okay.
And that's kind of like the headspace that I'm in a bit.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think just wanting to get something that I used to do, which sounds really wanky, is and it was a gift. I had a New Yorker subscription
Oh, okay.
from my family for Christmas one year, because it's so expensive.
Right, okay.
And I think just reading the long reads in that, because they're so wide-reaching in terms of subject matter, and the long reads are long, and they really interrogate like one specific thing in an extremely nuanced, deep way.
Yeah, okay.
And that was a really nice way of kind of getting a spark.
Yeah.
Kind of want to just get back into like being in the world, but right now I'm kind of enjoying just like being still.
Yes.
Yeah.
I support this for you.
Thank you.
Stillness for the win.
Yeah, I'm just sick of burning out.
Yeah.
Because I used to do it every 6 months.
Oh, like on the clock, like as a cycle.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
And it got to a point where I was like, this is so unsustainable. And it's just how artists work, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And it's kind of this industry in which, like, those conditions are created
Yeah.
Like they're not healthy. And so we kind of end up in these burnout, cycles. And I was like, I can't do this anymore.
That is very fair.
Yeah.
But we've got 30 seconds left.
What a way to go.
How apt. As I heard Sam Wang, the playwright, say, we are a renewable resource. And if I can encourage everybody here to take rest as much as possible, please do.
It's important. My therapist made me rest.
Yeah, good.
She was like, so how often are you working? And I was like, what do you mean? I work literally every day, constantly. And she was like, what's wrong with you? And I was like, oh, I'm an artist. And she was like, that's not right.
That's not how that works.
Yeah, and so she made me take a weekend, and she's like, doesn't matter what day it is, but you have to take 2 days off a week. And I was like, I will kill you. But I did it. It took me like 5 years to learn how to do it, but I do it.
Oh, good.
Yeah, but it took a long time.
Well, that's our time. I will definitely be out there for a tea if you just want to say hello and hi. Thank you very, very much to Michelle Law.
And Jules,
thank you for thank you for being here. Thank you for responding.
Thank you for nominating me.
Thank you, Playwright Crush. And thank you, Currency Press. Stick around for the rest of the festival. Yeah. Have a good time.